people are gonna fucking love this, by the way.
Why?
Just us arguing for an hour and also hearing Greghall say the stuff that he wants to say. That he already says on the internet, but
I'm I'm already here by like obligation because I tried to prove a point and it backfired. So like,
exactly. Because I think there's probably people that want to see what you look like in like real time as well.
yeah, I kind of just look the same to be honest.
Uh,
Okay,
right,
is
don't worry
that any
about
brighter? Is
no,
that
no, because oh
no?
fuck,
That's not. Okay, what about that?
I'm gonna leave all of this in.
Why? Why
Funny,
is that entertaining?
because it is
Funny.
watching Greghall
Right. You're not
struggle.
recording already, are you?
Yeah, I
Oh,
record
Jesus
before I
Christ.
even like join in here, so I know that I don't miss anything. I'll just edit it.
Right,
Don't
okay. So
worry.
you don't even like give your guests warnings or anything. You just
Sorry, do
fucking
I
do it.
need
Right,
to
okay.
read out a fucking privacy policy? Would you like that?
Yeah, this is GDPR. I could just decide that I do not consent at the end of this whole thing. So,
Actually, you did, because we've already been through this and you agreed, so you are giving me consent to use your mug on the internet.
right, okay. What do I do?
Would you?
We're here.
Yeah, and I'm gonna grill you for however long it fucking takes, because I know you're a yapper.
Oh, wait, 2 seconds. I'm off.
Okay, bye. You good?
Oh, is that what I look? Yeah, that should be
Is
fine.
that what you
Okay,
look
cool.
like? Yeah, that is, unfortunately. So I want you to tell me the differentiation between real and fake or false metalcore, which is what you like to preach a lot on the internet.
So we're not doing any sort of introduction or anything. This is just a
No,
video that goes
everyone
up with
knows
my
you,
face.
mate. Everyone knows you. You're Greghall. You're a bellend on the internet, and you take photos sometimes.
One of my friends is currently a tour manager in a band in Europe right now, and she's in Barcelona. And she messaged me to say that she met a really, really nice Catalan man. And since she's from the UK, the guy was like, "Oh, you probably know Greg Hall from Twitter then."
See, you're known for
See?
Twitter.
Mm. I'm a celebrity in Barcelona and the Basque Country. We love that.
Yeah.
Right, okay. What is the difference between real and false metalcore? Fake metalcore is bullshit, by the way. I never said that. That is something that that side of Twitter came up with by themselves to try make the argument seem a lot stupider than it actually is. Like, when people are just like, "Oh, I listen to bands that have 1 million listeners. You only listen to bands with 3 listeners," called castrated baby metal shite, whatever.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's what that is. But okay, real metalcore. Real metalcore is essentially what revival core is based on right now. So the sort of things that Afira and the Coming Strife are currently putting out. Yetzer Hara is doing the same thing as well. And the idea with revival core, first off, is that it's basically like a revival of what original real metalcore was in the early 2000s and even stretching back to like the late 90s. So what makes real metalcore is when you actually have elements of metal and elements of hardcore, and the two of them actually come together to create what is metalcore. And that is actually what the genre is. It's not this watered down commercial bullshit with clean singing choruses that are meant to like replicate what you could hear on the radio. Like it's actually the real elements of hardcore and the community and the ethos that drove to make hardcore what it is today. But it also has those elements from like metal, and at times there's like thrash that can come through in that, and then there's also even like elements of like death metal and shit that can come through as well, like mellow death, like your at the gate slaughter the soul sort of shit. That's why you hear like all those really nice like woodly noodly leads, the things that you like that you would call wee
Wee
woos.
woos. Oh, I
Like
do love wee
you
woos.
still actually get to experience that in real metalcore.
Yeah.
So that's what real metalcore is. If that gives you like a brief little history lesson. So your bands that are actually real metalcore, for example, like your ones that would be on the top that would be considered as like your gateway to real metalcore, that would be bands like It Dies Today, Bleeding Through, Zao, Prayer for Cleansing, those sorts of bands. That's actually like entry level good shit. Like it's not a million listeners at like entry level shit, but those are like your main bands that people would usually start with that actually get into metalcore as they did back in the early 2000s. Fake metalcore. I could talk about this shit all day because it actually
Because you
fucking bothers
love
me so
it.
much. Uh, but essentially, what false metalcore is, right, is that I'm going to take full credit for this because the only reason people actually talk about what false metalcore is and recognize bands as being false metalcore is because I pushed that shit so hard on socials because back in back in early 2000s, late 90s, there was a band called Liar. Liar were like part of the whole 8000 Belgian hardcore metalcore movement, and Liar had these hoodies where they had their logo on the front that just said Liar, but then on the back it had a picture of a guy holding a sword in the air, and underneath it said death to false metal. So like
Ah,
this is already a thing that has already happened.
that's
But
where it comes from. You
I
haven't coined that.
exactly like
Ah.
death to false metal was something that was originally pioneered from like the Belgian hardcore scene, 8000, like your bands like Congress, Reprisal, Liar, Blindfold, like those sorts of bands. That's where the whole like death to false metal comes from. But then death to false metalcore is something that I pushed because what people call metalcore nowadays is completely and utterly not fucking metalcore. It's manufactured commercial bullshit that is essentially like a branch off of like what people would call like Warp Tour metalcore or like Warp Tour emo and punk. Like imagine what Warp Tour was like in the early 2000s up to like 2010 and that. It was your bands like Pierce the Veil or Taking Back Sunday, My Chemical Romance and stuff. So those are all bands that people would call emo, but then there's actually a lot of people out there that would never call those bands emo. But the reason there's people out there that call them emo is because it's the offshoot of what the main commercial thing, Warp Tour in this example, has made people believe what emo actually is. That makes
Ah.
sense? You
Yes.
totally follow.
Of course I do.
And what? Yeah, exactly. You know exactly what you're doing. This is why you asked me to do this for some strange reason.
Yeah.
Um, and what we see people call metalcore nowadays are bands like Spirit Box, Invent Animate, Silent Planet. What else is out there? Your Bad Omens, Bring Me the Horizon, and stuff like that. They're bands that people call metalcore nowadays. They're bands that all share very similar elements where they're very commercialized or heavily marketed. They all follow the exact same sort of structures and they all have like their front and center person that is pushed forward because they're the marketable part of that band.
Hmm.
Like your Courtney LaPlante, your Ollie Sykes, the fact that everyone from Invent Anime all wears the exact same H&M beige outfit. That is their thing that they all push forward.
They look cool.
And yeah, like they do the thing. Like fucking Celestial Floods was a brilliant song when it came out on the Blue album, like forever ago. And yeah, so false metalcore is essentially like this whole heavily commercialized thing where it follows the exact same patterns. It's heavily marketed, and it doesn't have any sort of connection to hardcore. And I'm not meaning that it doesn't have connection to hardcore in the way where it's like your hardcore breakdowns, the vocals that you think are terrible and it doesn't have like two-step parts or anything like that. What it is that it doesn't have from hardcore is that it doesn't have that ethos and that sense of community. The only sort of community that actually comes from these false metalcore bands is fandoms on the internet, which are basically just little groups of people that are obsessed with these bands and they basically exist to fund these bands. There's no community whatsoever. It's just people on the internet that talk to each other. There's no shit of like yeah, like community in the sense of like let's go out and put on shows for false metalcore bands, like let's release zines for false metalcore bands. You don't see that sort of shit because that marketing side is already done by like big music, big industry.
Big
You don't
record
see people
labels.
making zines. Yeah,
Labels.
you don't see
Labels.
people making zines or putting on shows or having fundraisers or anything to keep their scenes alive because they don't need to because false metalcore bands have no connection to their scene whatsoever because they're so big, and the only thing that they need a connection to is their label, because their label does everything for them. There's no elements of DIY or community or anything from hardcore. And all the things that they're actually taking from metalcore and metal is that they're just phoning in the things that people find very accessible, that are very easy to listen to. The likes of that horrible fucking genty guitar tone that everyone has, like that neural
Hmm.
DSP plugin, where it's just like that bam, 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 like shit, awful, terrible. They all sound the exact same.
It's great.
And then it's got your front and center person that sings that everyone thinks is brilliant and lovely, and it still follows that verse, chorus, verse, bridge or breakdown. Chorus, but a little bit higher, and then it goes into like that shitty breakdown outro, and you're like, oh, this is so heavy. Oh, I'm gonna make a stank face. I think this
Yeah.
is so stinky. Oh,
Some
but
of
it's
them are
garbage.
good.
It's bullshit.
Some of them
See,
are good.
like you've been involved in like music scenes at like a grassroots level for so long, you kind of start to not enjoy those things as much because it doesn't feel as organic. It feels very manufactured, and you start to notice these things a lot more.
Hmm.
That everything follows the same pattern. Everything has the singy chorus that everyone can make a 30-second TikTok out of. Like I can't remember who it was that I read about recently. That oh no, it was a thread on Reddit that was who's a musician that fucking hates their fan base. And I know that Doja Cat is one in particular, and
Hmm.
Doja Cat actually shares the same hatred for her fans that some of like the biggest like alternative rock bands and stuff like this. They share the same reason, and what it is that people only know their music from like really short excerpts that have essentially been made into TikToks. So
Yeah.
people will sit through a 60-minute set, but they'll only know the words to 30 seconds of it. And that is a false metalcore element in itself. You write a hook that can go and be marketed and go viral, but the rest of the music doesn't matter. They just need that one thing to push and market.
Mm,
See what I mean? I could talk about this forever
yeah, I know you
because
could.
like there's so much to talk about, and like I think like it's quite interesting to talk about because there's so many different elements and things that tie in that kind of like that make sense.
Yeah. I mean, I
Fuck
want to
you.
go. Oh, okay. Yeah, you too. No, I want to go back to something. You mentioned something while you were yapping about you only touched on like the bigger bands, and that's why they were classed as false metalcore, because of like the marketing and the following the same
Hmm.
structure, blah blah blah. So, would you still class like the smaller bands that maybe still follow this same structure, but they've not got that marketing, they've not got that follow one formulaic structure of writing a song, but they're not quite what you would class as real metalcore? Would they then still fall into
Ah,
false
right, okay.
metalcore? Like,
I
so
would
they've got like the
say,
false metalcore sound, but they're not
hmm
marketed and they're not doing any of this gimmicky stuff that you seem to
hmm
characterize with it.
I would say that they would still fall into that false metalcore thing because those sorts of bands are not the ones that you see playing at local level. They're the ones that are trying to use the tools of like TikTok and other social medias to basically boost
Mm-hmm.
themselves to the point that they're trying to basically become like the opening band on a big tour. They don't give a shit about their community or their scene or anything like that. They want to basically fast track themselves into becoming career musicians. There's no interest in community. There's no interest in their local scene. They don't want to take their friends with them. They just want to turn this thing that they have passion for, but they want to turn it into something that is marketable and profitable. And I think that that's the thing that ties them in with being a false metalcore band because they're essentially trying to be a false metalcore band, which I actually think is more embarrassing than actually being a false metalcore band
Jesus.
because you're essentially doing all the shit that these big bands do in order to become something and make money, but you're not making any money. You're not
Mm-hmm.
making something that you love and give a shit about, and like you've not written something that you actually care for. You are writing something for people to monetize. And yeah, I
Okay.
that yeah, there's still false metalcore bands, absolutely,
That
yeah.
makes sense. Okay. So let me ask. Okay, let me change that question up a little bit then. Let's say they follow real metalcore, the sound, not the commercial sound.
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to find a loophole, or I'm trying to see like
Yeah,
how doubling down you actually go. So let's say they
you're trying to
sound,
find the thing that undoes me because
yeah.
this is the thing where it's like, so
So
if
if
the
they
building was
sound
on
like,
fire, would you stay inside? It's
yeah,
like, yeah, essentially.
yeah, cool. Okay, great. I'd leave you there. But no, okay. So let's say they sound like these real metalcore bands that you mentioned earlier, but they're small bands because clearly that's just where they stay sometimes. But they're being TikTok bands. So let's call them TikTok bands. But they sound like
Okay.
all of this real metalcore, like they've got it down to a T. What are they then?
They're a TikTok band, they're shit.
Okay, but they sound like everything that you love.
Are they contributing to community? Are they part of their scene? Like, are they actually interested in bringing their
Hmm.
friends with them, or are they just trying to fast track themselves to becoming career musicians that can make money?
So it seems like the real pinpoint characteristic of the differentiation between false metalcore and real metalcore is the vision kind of thing, and like how you put your band into a scene, whether you take the route of TikTok monetization and get 50p for every video,
Hmm.
or you start at a grassroots level and don't pay 300 US dollars for some YouTube react to listen to your single. That
If you're
seems
paying a
like,
YouTuber to react to your
oh,
music, then you're a
that's
fucking idiot straight off the bat.
hence why
Like
I'll never make
that's
anyone pay.
that's vile. Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
Squeeze
so
that
that
into your video.
so that seems like where it is. It's less to
Yeah,
do with
like
this
I'm.
sound, but that's still a
Uh
part,
huh.
and it's more
Yeah,
to do with, like you said, the ethos and the
yeah.
vision of the band
It's
and the
ethos,
direction you take.
community, scene, and that. Yeah, like for example, Knock Loose is the perfect example. They're still off making different bands. Like you've got Weapon X, you've got Inclination, you had Heartstopper, which I'm devastated doesn't exist anymore. But they went off and all made different bands. Trey plays in Gates to Hell as yeah, he plays in Gates to Hell as well. Um, and they're actually not just playing like they're not just opening for Metallica this year, then that's them. They're still putting on for their friends, they're playing smaller shows, they're actually giving back to their community and like they're not just changing their sound to become what is currently marketable and profitable.
Hmm.
Like they're not following what the industry is telling them to do. Like they're doing shit in a very DIY way. They've just managed to like actually monetize on that. Like I have no issue with bands making money because like I think that if people want to monetize their passion, fire on and do it. Like it's not for me to say you can and can't do that. But I think that once you have that, say if you started with a DIY ethos and you went down the route of like actually still managing to make money like Not Loose have, if they had managed to do that, but then completely switched up to just becoming like very industry driven and change their sound and everything to become more profitable and more marketable, then that's when a band stops being DIY and stops being like actually interested in giving back. That's when they kind of stop being real in that sense.
Hmm.
Like the passion's gone. The passion is being completely and utterly replaced by the need to make money. And I think that
So
if you don't have respect and love for your craft throughout what it is that you're doing, then I don't think you're doing your passion and your love justice.
so it would bring me. So like bring me then, because obviously you saw the full 180 and what bring me
Hmm.
did. Like bring me
Bring
started
Me's a really
off.
interesting one. Yeah, Bring Me's a very, very interesting one because, like, I remember when Bring Me Horizon opened Shedfest and Malevolence were like further up the bill than them, and this was like the early 2000s, and
Oh yeah, I
I still
forgot you're that
remember
old.
that that ugly as hell grey post in Brim of the Horizon in tiny little font at the bottom. No logo, nothing fancy, just Brim of the Horizon in fucking Times New Roman. And they definitely came from like a DIY background. Like you've seen people finding out about Womb to the Tomb right now.
Yeah. What?
Like
How have people
we're
not known that Womb to the Tomb was a thing?
well, like this is the exact same thing as like people finding out that Joji is Filthy Frank and Pink Guy. Like nobody actually realizes that these are real people behind these things. But no, going back to the point, Bring Me's a really interesting one because they did start off as a DIY band, and I think that they're a fantastic example of doing what you want for a certain amount of time, and then just completely losing the sauce of what it was that made you what you are. And like they're still doing what they want, like I still think they're absolutely doing what they want with the likes of like fucking medicine and shit like that. Like I still think that's them writing what they want.
Hmm.
But I think that there is so much of them that just doesn't give back anymore. And I think that that's what kind of stops them being real to me, if
Hmm.
that makes sense.
Less about their sound
And
and
also
more about like just them.
scene
Okay.
driven, DIY, like giving back. Like
Hmm.
that's the things that make a difference. Also, Count Your Blessings is the best album they ever put out, and it's never going to be topped.
Yeah, County Blessings is fucking sick. It is just a weird one with them, with how different their entire discography
Yeah,
goes, and you can just see it happening.
you see how hard it gets watered down, and like how much the band at that time were exploring something different. Because you can see, like in Suicide Season, for example, that's when like all the high pitch, like orchestral stuff starts to come in, and like you see it get embraced even more in Sempiternal. Like it's I don't know. I quite like that they went through this gradual change, and it seems like to a lot of people that they changed like very bluntly, really quickly in that. But like, I think if you go back through the discography, you'll realize that the band kind of switched up like very gradually over time, similar to like what Turnstile have done, and similar to even what like Architects have done. Like
Hmm.
they went from good and just went down a slippery slope to terrible,
They
like over a
started as
very long
good.
time.
Yeah, because it's not
Exactly.
it's not like they made one album of what are we gonna call what are we gonna call Count Your Blessings? Deathcore. I would have called it deathcore back then when I was listening to it.
Count Your Blessings is a deathcore album,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it's not like they've gone from Count Your Blessings to Ammo. It's not like they
Yeah,
did that.
there's a gradual change.
That you can see them doing
Absolutely.
that, and I think maybe part of that was to do with vocally, Ollie couldn't stick with what he was doing because he was doing it wrong. And everyone who
Yeah.
has been a fan of Bring Me for that long knows that that's what happened to Ollie. So I think kind
Yeah.
of they
Like it's
maybe in a little sense were forced down the route that they've been in, and then they've just kind of taken it from there. Or they were forced at least out of their deathcore era.
it's a solid theory, yeah. But like you could take While She Sleeps, for example. Laws completely fucked his voice,
Mm-hmm.
and rather than switching into a different lane to try continue doing something whilst Laws's voice was fucked, they just waited and became a merchcore band for a number of years, and then they came back and kept making the same music.
Arguable that While She Sleeps fall off needs to be studied. Like While She Sleeps was so good up until You Are We, and then they went massively
Yeah.
downhill. Their
I'm
sound
gonna
didn't
I'm
change.
gonna disagree.
No, their sound didn't change drastically. We're not talking like Bring Me or Architects change, but I
Hmm.
feel like they fell off so hard after You Are We. And I can't,
Yeah,
you can't even ask me to explain that because I don't know why. Because I
I'm
rode
not going to ask you to
fucking
explain it. I'm going to
hard.
just say that they've always sucked.
No.
Crows was good. Crows was
Crows was
fantastic.
good.
Like the North Stands for Nothing was great. Fun fact: the first time that they played in Scotland, I played that show.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna bring that up. Well, not that in
I played that
specifics,
show.
but so a piece of Greghall lore. But right, cool. I've let you waffle about that. That's fine. We're gonna move on. We're gonna get more interesting. Um, I want to know, in your opinion, why do you think that you've been labelled as such a controversial person on Twitter. Do you think it is solely down to the false metalcore versus real metalcore and your opinions on that? Or do you think it's something else?
I think it partly comes down to the fact that like I'm very honest. Like I'm not trying to like sugarcoat things or spare people's feelings or anything like that. Like if I don't like something, I'll always just say it because I don't see the point in being. I just don't see the point in like sparing feelings over like art because I feel that art is something that you should feel and just be honest with in itself. Like art is a very visceral, raw thing that can really make you feel things. And if you're not able to express that in the way that it makes you feel, then I think that you're not doing yourself justice at all. You're more concerned about how you're going to be perceived by others, and you're worried that people will think of you differently because this is how you feel about it. You want people you want it's a control thing. I think it's a little bit of a control thing. You want people to perceive you in a particular way so you don't actually be as honest as you possibly can. And I think that that's something that I've always tried to do is be as honest as I possibly can. Like yesterday, for example, I had I think it was that someone sent me music and they're like, "Hey, this just came out today. You should totally check it out." And the person that sent me this music, it was his band, and he was like, "Oh yeah, this banger just dropped," and I'm like, "Great that you think it's a banger," but I listened to it and I didn't give it 30 seconds, I didn't give it 15 seconds, and I listened to the whole thing through, and I just like just replied to him, just being like, "I don't like it. I don't like that overproduced gent guitar tone and that. I don't really care for radio rock. I think it sucks, my guy."
I saw
And
that.
like people are liking it, and people are liking it and messaging me, and like, "Oh, you got him, you roasted him," and I'm like, I, I'm just saying what I think and how I feel, and if I didn't say it in that way because I wanted to spare his feelings or anything like that, or I wanted people to perceive me in a particular way, then I don't think I'm being myself.
Mhm.
And I think I've always tried to be myself as much as possible, and I think that that rubs people the wrong way. Um,
Yeah.
Brendan
I
Murphy, Craig Reynolds, um, a fair few people in the music industry have not had a particularly good impression of me because of how honest I have been about the music that I talk about using my platform. But it's good to see that people change their tunes very quickly once they realize that people's word carries weight or they have a particular following or anything like that. People change how they feel about things because they're worried about how they're worried about how they'll be perceived by other people. So they try to keep everyone on side. And that's yeah.
Yeah, you're public enemy number one for false metalcore side of Twitter.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Like,
Because like
yeah,
you said that, and I noticed that the longer that I was on that side, I still am on that side to be honest, but I just
unfortunate.
hey, some of it's still bangers, can't even lie. But yeah, you see that they take it so personally. And I remember you saying that to me in the beginning. I was like why do you hate this stuff so much? And you said I don't hate it. They're just like the easiest people to wind up. Like
And it's funny.
just by telling them that what they're listening to is not metalcore. It just gets people so upset.
Exactly. And like it's sometimes not even sometimes, actually quite a lot of the time. If you interact with particular pockets of the internet, whether it's fandoms or if it's like select communities and stuff, like they're gonna take the thing that they love and feel passionate about seriously when someone doesn't feel about it the same way that they do because they take it personally. And I think that's partly why like fandoms have kind of ruined a lot of the live music experience and why their inclusion in these online spaces has kind of like ruined how bands can actually interact with their fans because like people just take it too seriously. And I think that if you're not able to get over someone else not liking what you like, then I think you're ruining the whole experience for yourself as well. Because no one's going to like everything. It's impossible. It's not even possible to hate everything. It's not even possible to dislike everything. but it is absolutely possible to know what you like and what you dislike, and I think that you should absolutely honor that.
So then why can't we just let people enjoy things? If you know that not everyone's going to like everything and there are some people that
Hmm.
like the radio rock and the commercialized metal,
Hmm.
why can't you just let them enjoy it?
I
As
think the controversial thing with letting people enjoy things is that it's being said as a means to basically just end the conversation, just to drop it there and then. Like, let people enjoy things is like closing the doors on like the conversation going any further. And I think that if you're able to express why you don't like something, whether you're expressing it in an eloquent way or whether it's even just a couple of words, if you're able to express that, I think that's fantastic. And I think that the people that are saying let people enjoy things should be able to understand why people don't like the thing that you like. We can let people enjoy things, but my whole argument against the let people enjoy things thing is that since that statement is used to essentially close the doors, it's stopping those people from actually discovering different things. And I always feel that if there's people that are saying let people enjoy things and it's purely false metalcore, then those people are closing the doors on allowing themselves to discover community, how they can give back to their scene. They're so used to consuming music at this high level thing where like they'll buy a £50 coin in that, but they won't spend £3 in a zine for the bands in their scene that make their city the reason bands come here.
okay, fair enough. It wasn't
I
just
think if you
it's
close the doors,
if you use it
yeah,
as a way to avoid conversation and discovery. It's
yeah,
not you're not completely dismissing that you can let people enjoy things. Like you're not being
mhm.
like you're not the music police or the genre police saying you can't
No,
listen to this, you
no.
can't enjoy this. Oh, just fucking could have fooled me.
But
Why
then
you
that
tell me
always
I
comes
can't?
down to it comes down to like how people interpret things on the internet because since a lot of shit is in text, it's
Mm-hmm.
like you can interpret that any way that you want. And if you see someone saying I think Spirit Box suck, then there's going to be people that will be like, well, what, you don't like women, like what's wrong with
Oh,
you?
that's
Like
exactly
it's
what
purely
they
down
said to
to
me.
interpretation.
That's
It's
exactly.
like it comes down to interpretation. It's the same as being like, um, that band broke that woman's camera, so that means they don't like women and they don't like black people. And it's like it's purely down to interpretation and how you take things. And I think that if you invest so much of your emotions into the bands that you like, you're gonna feel a lot rawer and a lot more visceral when it comes to people saying negative things about the things that you like. And I think that's where fandoms completely and utterly fall apart because they can't deal with people disliking the things that they like because they care about it so much. And they've not been able to allow themselves to disconnect from that.
Well, they fucking saw what happened to me when I said that I didn't like Kay and Ashy. You'd have thought that I'd went for like Taylor Swift or something.
Well, that's because you're wrong. Cow and Ashley rule.
No. I'm sure they're great. Like they were great to me in DMs after that. Like they were so cool.
Yeah,
But
great band. They put on a brilliant show, but I can understand why people don't like them.
I
It's the same reason that some people don't like certain bands because of the vocal style. Like you don't like hardcore because you think all the vocalists suck.
vocalists, yeah, get rid of them all. They all need to go back to their day jobs, to be honest. But
And
it's
then
yeah,
in the
it's like
exact same way that I think false metalcore sucks because they all use that same genty neural DSP guitar tone. I think that sucks because of that.
that's
But
fine.
you like it,
Yeah.
and
I
and
was
that's fine.
yeah. It's just yeah. It's the same way like people don't like Knock Loose because of the vocals. I just can't. This is exactly what I said about Kay and Ashy was riffs are hard. Instrumentally, they're so hard, but because the vocals are like the thing that I'm hearing, like that's the thing that I'm gonna join in with if I'm vibing with a song. I'm gonna start singing along to the lyrics. But if the vocals are just not sitting well in my brain, it's gotta go. And that's what I said. I could have said it maybe a little bit instead of just saying, "Oh, they fucking suck," because that is
Yeah.
literally just what I said. And yeah, it's yeah. You would have thought that I'd done crimes, against humanity with the way that Twitter came after me for that one.
Yeah, you did.
They
You
should
did
have
do
just.
crime.
I was letting people enjoy it. They can enjoy it. That's
You should
fine.
have went to the show. You should have went to
No,
the show.
it was a Wednesday. I had my child. I don't know what you wanted me to do.
I don't know, take child with.
I'm not taking her to one of these underground basement shows. That's unsafe for a toddler.
Mm,
It's unsafe.
it's debatable.
It's
Children should play in basements more often,
no.
specifically bars
Jesus. If it was a pool
where
table,
alcohol is.
she would have loved it. But no. Right.
But yeah, shout
Fucking
out Tanahashi, fantastic band.
shout out the people. Yeah, they're cool. Right. You mentioned you said earlier and I wanted to interject, but I thought, no, I'm gonna let you You went on about the the names in the music scene. Well, you only said two. You said Craig Reynolds and Brendan Murphy.
Uh huh.
About not liking you because of maybe certain things that you've said, how you've said it,
Uh huh.
blah blah blah. We obviously know there's more, but this could be a short and sweet, simple answer. How did you feel when you got called a melted ice cream by Ronnie Radke? Look, I can't lie, he cooked with that. He
No,
cooked
it
so
was
hard.
excellent. Like I'm not I'm I couldn't even like argue or anything. I was just like, fuck, that's good. But it was probably the fastest screenshot I've ever taken in my life, the fastest link I've ever copied. I sent it to everyone. I was like, you will not fucking believe this. I had people that I haven't spoken to in years get in touch with me and they're just like, oh my God, what did he say? What did he say? And I'm like, here's the link, go on. Funny, man.
Jesus. Do you do
Like,
like a whole video? Because all I know about that instance is
hmm.
what he called you and the screenshot. Like, what
um,
was that even?
he
Because
did a
I
whole
don't think I knew you at that point.
he did a whole video on it, and the reason for it was because um Ronnie was going through a moment like maybe about a year and a half, 2 years ago or something like that. It was the time that Slaughter to Prevail had the front cover of Revolver magazine, and everyone was very upset about it. And I can remember it was also around the time that the whole architects transphobia thing kicked off as well. And people were basically just like coming at Ronnie relentlessly online and just generally just like tagging him and just being like, you're a stupid cunt and that. And Ronnie would just go out of his way to just make fun of them in return.
Yeah.
But like people like that do, they love to just go all out on it. So he was saving people's profile pictures or going through their Twitter media tab and just saving their photos, quoting them, posting that, and just being like, "Yeah, you look like a magician crossed with a sex offender." Like he was just saying shit like that about people, and it was great. But he quoted me and put and like replied to me maybe like 3 or 4 times or something, and then that's when he DM'd me. But he had replied to me so many times because that was when like my account was starting to kind of pop off a little bit, and I was talking about how yeah, it was around the whole like architects transphobia thing, and I made a post being like, since people are finding out that like a band has like links to transphobia, can we like start making a thread of LGBT plus like friendly, inclusive bands? And like there's like thousands of bands were getting like sent in and stuff, and like it was a huge thread. But he kept replying to it and he kept quote tweeting it, just being like, this is gay, like this is bullshit, like what the fuck, like listen to
Jesus.
what you want to and stuff like that. And like I would end up just getting to the point where he messaged me and he was like, do you think that the guy from Slaughter to Prevail is a Nazi? What's fucking wrong with you? So I just sent him back a photo of me out with my friends at the bar, just sticking a middle finger up at him. And then he responded to me saying fear. And that was the very point where I screenshotted it. And then I just quoted him saying, Alexa, reverse the curse. And then that went viral. And then I think that was the point where my account really took off. And
Thanks,
that
Ronnie.
was when, and then that's when the TikTok got made because it was maybe a couple months after my birthday and he screenshotted a photo that I took on my birthday of me holding 2 cans of Dr. Pepper outside the shop. And he was like, "Look at this fucking ugly idiot," and that. And I was like, "So many photos you could have taken, and you chose the one that like I took to basically mock myself." Like I got up at like 8 in the morning to like go get 2 tins of Dr. Pepper for my birthday, and I was like, I don't really care. It's funny, but he was asking people to bully me and shit, and you know what that fan base is like. They
Yeah.
don't know how to bully people. Like you've got people that are like white, unwashed, they have dreadlocks. Like, come on, like pick a struggle. And you've got like just like fucking stupid women that are saying shit like, "Oh, like I don't care that he hit his partner. Like I would let him hit me." And I'm like, "Okay, cool,
Jesus
morons,
Christ.
honestly."
Yeah,
But
it's a
yeah, that
really
yeah, it's see that let people enjoy things, right? This is what
yeah,
happens.
do absolutely should. There's I think there's a line. There's definitely a line with that. Let people enjoy things within reason. You absolute
Yeah,
there's stuff being put out in the creative industries that absolutely shouldn't be enjoyed. And you shouldn't be public about you enjoying that. You shouldn't even be secretive. Like if you have morals, you shouldn't be enjoying that kind of shit.
hot take. It's not even a hot take, but you can listen to cancelled bands as long as you just do it on your time. You don't need to publicize it. You don't need to make a big deal about it. If
Greg
you want to
listens
listen
to
to cancelled
cancelled
bands, and
bands.
Greghall listens to cancelled bands.
Yeah, I
Greg
do.
Hall's a servitude stan, and he always will be.
Oh, are they cancelled? That's not from my neck of the woods, so I don't know about them.
Nah, yeah, I can say these band names on your channel, and no one will have a clue. It's
Yeah,
fine.
no. It's all of your little fanboys and girls all know who they are, and I'm just like, no, I ain't got a clue. Obviously, we all know that
Yeah, whatever.
I'm a Johnny Craig truther. I always will be, but I'm public about that. So
Yeah, which is totally fair because the man has gone through therapy, he's gone clean, and
yeah,
he's sorted his life out.
and he's got custody of his kid now. Was he a
And see what the
fucked up
great thing is,
human?
right?
Yeah,
Is
absolutely.
that I could have went down the path of being like, you're cancelled because of something this guy did forever ago. Or I could be like, you know what? I could read. I could do a Google. I could find shit out and then actually make an informed opinion. But it's the
Yeah,
internet and that doesn't happen.
no. Like if you'd have obviously if you'd have brought up years ago when he wasn't sorted, wasn't on the straight and narrow, wasn't fixing himself. Nah, you probably shouldn't have been public about loving Johnny Craig or anything that Johnny Craig's been in,
Hmm.
because he wasn't someone that you should be giving promotion to or giving your time to. But since, nah, absolutely. Even in the, like, because he's not in those eras anymore, so I can listen to him in Emerosa and the, like, 2 songs of Dance Gavin Dance from when he was there. I'll listen to that, even though he was a piece of shit then. But he's not now. Big up Johnny Craig. Honestly, until this world produces another Johnny Craig, I'm a Johnny Craig truther. Don't care. And you said one, so I'm sure people are going to be singing your fucking praises like, hell yeah, Greghall, you're so cool and awesome. Wow. For liking that cancelled
Yeah.
band.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll be the case.
Yeah, well, you're going to have so many people going, I love that band too. It's so awesome that Greghall loves it.
Hey, if this podcast gets, or whatever the fuck this is, gets people into listening to 8,000 bands and edge metal and shit like that, then I've done my job. That's good.
That's cool. Or if they see that, who knows, they might, like you said earlier, sometimes people see you in a different light once they actually talk to you and not just assume you're a bellend on the internet. Which you are, but
Real talk.
the two things can be true at once. You are still a
Hmm.
bellend. Um, but hey, we get along and we're complete opposite. I'm like your worst nightmare in terms of
Yeah, you
music
suck.
taste. Exactly, that's why I'm called Hell Sucks. Come on, it's on brand. Right. There was another question, but I think we kind of answered it earlier. Is like, do you think that modern metalcore, or as some people like to call it, octane core, or as you like to call it, false metalcore, do you think it's gone down that route because of how accessible social media is to monetize and push it, and shit like that. Do you think that that's the reason that so many of these bands are like big right now,
Yes.
or that is like such a big part, and people don't, and people, how do I want to put this? When people see these big bands, they see metalcore, and they're ignorant to the fact that no, there is actually something called metalcore, and it's not this. Do you think that the reason that
Yeah.
so many bands follow this kind of mainstream radio rock is because of modern marketing, chasing the bag,
Essentially, yeah.
essentially?
Yeah. They're chasing the bag, and I think a lot of like people that listen to these bands, to no fault of their own, they're not aware of bands at any other level because this has been their gateway, and they've been marketed so heavily into thinking this is it. This is music, that it stops people from actually thinking, you know what, I could actually go and discover shit. I could learn my history into what metalcore actually is, where it came from, who coined the term. Like there's so much that you could do, but when you're marketed to believe that this is it, this is music at its best, because it's popular, because it's heavily marketed, and it's got like that sound that made people believe that metal and rock was cool because it was the counterculture that was going against what's mainstream, and that even though these big popular bands are essentially the mainstream part of what people believe is metalcore now, like your Sleep Token and your Bad Omens and that, they're the exact same fucking thing. Just one's got a distortion pedal and the other doesn't. But yeah, I think that chasing the bag has stopped fans from actually seeing bands at grassroots levels, from seeing what local shows are actually like, seeing where bands actually come from, because they don't know any better, because that's what's been marketed to them.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think it is.
And you think that's why there's a lot of bands that chase that sound now, is for the bag
Yes.
and for the what do you call it, like eyes on them, the publicity,
Yeah. It's,
or the potential for
mhm.
publicity.
Exactly. And there's bands that want to be like that because that's all that they're being exposed to. And they think like, oh, I want to be like that. I want to be playing massive stages like that. So they try feed into the same blueprint and the same design that all these bands are following, but they're not able to do that because they're experiencing the same thing that bands at grassroots levels and at local shows are experiencing, which is that there's next to no money, and the same people that like all these massive bands that are playing on huge stages and that, they're not at local shows supporting these bands that want to be like that, because all those fans are not aware of these guys down here, and all
Mm-hmm.
these guys down here want to be up here, but they can't be up here because they don't have the people that only know that that shit exists.
Fair enough, that
And
makes sense.
that's how they get into that cycle of wanting to be your commercial radio rock metalcore and that, and they're trying to push themselves on TikTok and stuff like that, but they're never gonna break through in the way that all those industry bands do, because they don't have the money to do it. They don't have the people following them religiously. They don't have the ability to mass produce merch because they don't have the money or the funding that industry and labels and shit do.
Yeah, shit's
And
expensive.
yeah, it is.
Touring's expensive. Like, from speaking to like my friends in bands who have done tours, particularly around America, um, insane. I genuinely
Yeah,
didn't know, because obviously you know me. I'm a stadium and I'm an arena goer. If it's not at the Hydro, I'm not going. But like, knowing the bands that I do and having the people that I know in bands out in America, I was so like unaware of what actually went in to local shows
yeah.
or
A
smaller
lot goes
shows.
into it. A
Maybe
lot
local.
goes into it. And I think a lot of people are not aware of that because people think like big shows have got, light shows, there's like crews and stuff like that come with like each band and stuff. You've got all your visuals and shit, and got to pay your security, your people on the door, the staff of the venue, and everything like a normal fucking business. But then people think that at local level, oh yeah, you don't have all that. So like you must be making more money because you don't have to make those things and that. And it's like, no, because you don't have the same number of people coming through the door. You're not charging people anywhere near the amount that you would pay for like an arena show. And you've got local people, like literally just people like you and me, paying for venue hire, paying for backline, you're paying multiple bands and that, but you're only able to pay each band a certain amount of money to continue touring and playing shows because it's all dependent on people actually coming to your show.
Hmm.
And you're not going to get all your people from arenas and all your people that have discovered bands on TikTok going to these shows because they don't know any different. And if you don't have these massive fandoms like actually going to local shows, then all the bands that are trying to tour and make their dream like an actual reality, whether that's chasing a bag or it's just playing shows to fuck around and enjoy themselves, then they're not going to be making much money in it in the first place. There's no industry sponsor. There's no fucking Jackson Guitars like paying you to play their guitars or anything like that. Like there's just no money in it, and you're trying to factor in how little promoters can actually pay these bands, but then you're also considering how expensive fuel is. Where is the band going to sleep that night?
Hmm.
Where, how far are you traveling from venue to venue? And that, like, you've got to pay for food. You've got to be able to like look after yourself and shit like that as well. And not every band is like paying for hotels and stuff, and that's usually because touring is so expensive that you have to sleep on someone's floor and they essentially can't afford to stay at a hotel or anything like that. It's not as glamorous as people think it
No,
is. And
I genuinely thought they were just slumming it, like in
mm,
shitty Airbnbs and stuff like that. But no, they'll just like hire a really small minibus and they'll all just sleep in there. And
exactly,
sometimes
it
you have to
happens.
share gear. That's I'm not saying they're all
That's
doing that stuff. They sometimes you have to share like instruments
no, genuinely like
with
that's a
other
thing that
bands.
absolutely happens. Because like for example, we're putting a show on in July and we're bringing like two or three bands over from Europe. And in the emails like back and forth, one of the bands was like, see to save us like having to spend loads of money to bring like all our gear over, like to fly over to the UK and go through customs and like pay all like these heavy luggage fees and that. Can we just use some of the other band shit? And that saves them money
Mm.
because they can't afford to do that because traveling and paying shows is expensive enough as it is.
Yeah,
Like
flights are
it's
mad.
but
They're
it's just the way that it is. There's a huge gulf between DIY and playing like in small shows and stuff like that compared to like your industry bands that are all at the top that have the money, the sponsorships, the merch income, like whatever else that is that they're doing. And yeah, there's just like a huge gulf, a huge difference. And a lot of the people that only know about those big bands on top because of TikTok are not aware of what all these little bands down the bottom are doing just to get by. I
like
can think of like touring Europe, and it was like a 2 week run, and I think we paid for accommodation once, and for every single other date, we had to sleep in the van. We slept. Oh, Christ, I can't even remember what the name is of or what you would call those things. But like in Europe, there's places where like it's undocumented housing, and essentially it's where people that are like homeless and stuff would go and stay, and
oh
the way that
squat.
they get by is just yeah, it's a squat. Yeah, that's the one. I remember like we slept in the attic of a squat like multiple times. Yeah, slept at the side of the road in the van and that. Like, yeah, it's not as glamorous as people think it is. Like,
How not why, but how important is it for people to go to local shows? Because of everything that we've just touched on. Like how these bands that do tours around their own country, um, they know that they're never going to make a profit, or that making a profit
mhm.
is they don't even aim for that. They aim for breaking even because
Yeah,
that's a plus to
that's the way
them.
to do it.
That's a
Yep,
plus to them.
absolutely.
So how important is it to you, and how important is it for other people to support their local scene?
I think to kind of put it in the simplest way possible, right, is that if people don't go to local shows and they don't actually like pay in or pick up merch or anything like that, bands are less likely to want to come to your town or your city because they know that they're not going to get a good turnout. They know that going to your town or your city is a loss, so they'll completely skip going there. And if there's no shows and there's no bands, and if there's no people that go to shows, then the promoter can't put anything on. The bands won't want to actually go there because no one's going to go to the show. It's a bust every single time. You're going to a city to lose money. Like, that's
Mm.
essentially it. Like you should support your local scene, not not in the way of being like you should support it no matter what, because sometimes your scene can just have some dog shit bands. But then that creates the incentive that if your scene has dog shit bands in it, then go make a band. Make a band that people could actually enjoy, or start inviting the bands that you like to the town that you're in so you can actually put on the show that people will actually come to. I think like it's so important to actually kind of give a shit about your scene, because if you're seeing venues and stuff closing in your town or in your city, then I think that's partly down to your scene is not doing as much as it possibly can to keep these places going.
Mhm.
So like it's part of keeping live music alive. If you're just going to be traveling all the time down to fucking Manchester because you don't like that there's no shows in your town, then why don't you just start putting on shows? Why don't you just start putting on shows and inviting the bands you like? Like, there's so much that people can do, but people are just fucking lazy. I think it's important.
Okay, cool. I'm sure plenty of people will agree with you on that one. So,
Also, I think it's really interesting that if you actually start giving back to your scene, you never know where that's actually going to take you and what's actually going to happen. I went to school with a guy that used to put on shows in Inverness, up in the Highlands. Inverness has never had a good music scene. It did for a very, very short period of time when like Bring Me the Horizon used to go up there when they were quite small. And Enter Tricari played like a 20 cap ice rink bar. That was an excellent show. Or when Gallows actually played that same bar
oh,
and the show
gallows.
got stopped halfway through because Neds kicked the back door in. So the show
Valid.
had to stop because the Neds were battering all the goths. It was funny. Um, so up in Inverness, there was a boy that was in the year above me, and like he used to put on shows because he was like, no one's doing anything. I'm going to start putting on shows and inviting bands, and that's how we used to see bands like Fleur Red and Enter Shikari and stuff come through. But he just kept doing that, and then he eventually like moved to Glasgow, then he moved to London and stuff, kept doing the exact same thing, putting on shows, giving back, making zines, whatever. He used to go on tour with bands and stuff as well because he became friends with all these people, and he ended up becoming guitar and drum tech for While She Sleeps, and then architects, and I think now he techs for All Time Low. Like, you never know where you're gonna go. I know we can make faces about all these bands and stuff, but like this is
Oh
the point I'm
no,
trying to make is that
While She
you don't
Sleeps
know the
aren't
route.
cancelled, but the other two,
No,
I wouldn't put that on my resume.
no, but like it's something that like
But yeah,
actually worked
in
out for
terms
him,
of
and
numbers, that's
yeah, it's something that you can turn into a career. It's something that can open doors for you. Like it's just how it is. Like there's so much that you can do in your scene, and you don't know where your scene's gonna take you. You can be taking photos one day, and then the next day a band can ask you to come out with them to document their tour. Like there's just so much, but you're not going to get that if you just go to arena shows and you're like, Vessel, take me on tour.
fucking love Vessel. Right, let's talk about your band, Mister.
Okay, yeah,
S-
which one? Which one?
which one? I only know the of one.
Right, okay.
I only
Which
know
one do
of
you know of?
is it called Northern?
Yeah, Northern was my last band, my
Yeah,
punk
the
band.
one that we watched in Discord and I thought was fucking
Yeah.
hilarious. Like, it's so weird seeing you like that. Why did you call it
What do
Northern?
you
Is it
we called it Northern because that
because you're in
we called it
Scotland?
Northern because the guitarist liked that name, and it also looked really good in a particular font because he's a designer.
Ah. I'm gonna insert a clip, by the way, of of you in a band. That band, Northern. When did you start it? Why did you start it? And why did it fall off? Why is it not going anymore?
The reason that that band fell apart is because
You
that
were
was
shit.
before I. No, 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 no. I was a terrible person, actually.
Yeah, we know that.
I basically, I near enough brought that band to an end because it was back when I wasn't vegan, I wasn't straight edge. I was generally just a complete and utter piece of shit. Way before I actually decided to like do like a proper like 180 and sort my life out and stuff. And it was before I could actually properly express why I didn't like or like things. So we would go to practice and that, and I would just be like, "Nah, that's shit. Nah, that sucks. I hate that. I'm not interested. It's crap."
You're still the
Um,
same.
and I wouldn't show up for practices. I wouldn't show up for um, I wouldn't show up for like sound checks and stuff like that to shows. Effectively, like I kind of fucked that band by just being like a piece of shit. And eventually I got kicked out of it. And then the guy that kicked me out, he got kicked out of it. And I got invited back into the band. And then we tried to like make the band work. Like I knew people, so like we were getting shows, we were managing to sell merch and stuff like that. But the heart wasn't in it and the passion wasn't in it anymore. And there was a lot more a lot more grief for people than anything else being part of that band. So like it just didn't work in the end. It didn't work.
Do you think you could do that again? Or nah? You're too old now. You're like 50 something, so it's kind of past your prime.
It's kind of funny because the majority of like your big musicians on top and stuff, and the ones that still play local on that are around my age and in their 30s anyway. So
Yeah, right. You're just a pathological liar
I
because
would
you're
love
pushing
to go back and
50.
make music, but my only issue is at the times that I've tried to go back and make it, like times where like I've practiced with bands to see if like I would fit the part in that, and I don't know, it's never felt good. It's never felt right. Like I've tried out with like two or three bands and that have asked me like, yeah, let's start writing together and that, and then I'll do like one practice with them, and like it's never felt right. I always come away like feeling like shit, thinking like this is not what I want. Like I want to be making music, but I want to be making the music that I want to, as opposed to like just making music that like I don't know, making music for the sake of playing shows. I think the only way that I'm actually going to be able to do it is once I actually manage to have enough money to just buy a guitar, buy software, and just write a whole EP myself. I think
Yeah.
that's the way that I need to do it. Similar to like how Coulter has done that with like Killing of a Sacred Deer,
Yeah.
and like how
Big up
Cycleframe and
Coulter.
shit came about, and how like a lot of projects generally come about, like how Frontierer came about as well. Like it was all just two people to begin with, and then it blossomed into this like full live band thing. So I think that's the only way that like I would be able to do it if I really really wanted to, because like I know what I think would work and what I think would be good, but I feel like I would need to do it myself,
I think you should make a
if
Sleep
that makes
Token
sense.
tribute band.
There's already like a lot of people on TikTok that are already doing that, where it's like all
Yeah,
those
there's.
horrible videos being like, "This is what Sleep Token sounds like to me," and it's like, it's like
Yeah.
Elvis Presley shit. Yeah, I'll go back to music one day, but like it's something that I've been kind of like toying with for like 6 years or something like that. One day it'll happen. Like I've made like full bands twice where like I've had a position filled by everyone, but then we've just not been able to like carve out the time to do anything. Like we've made the group chats where like people send riffs and stuff like that in, but it never comes to fruition
Well, you
because
just
it's
got to
just
find your people.
it's obviously just not meant to be. It'll happen one day.
Oh, maybe. Don't worry. I'll put a react clip on TikTok when it does.
Oh
I know you'd
Christ.
love that.
Yeah, but you charge like 300 quid, so like
Yeah,
I'm not doing
yeah, I
it.
do. Yeah,
Yeah.
I charge more than that. I had to put it up. Inflation. Come on. 375.
You've got to compete with like the baldies that wear snap caps and don't wash their beards that react to the worst shit, don't you?
Let's talk about 2026 Greghall. What are you doing this year? What's in your diary for this year? So you can show people that you're not just a very, very opinionated bellend on the internet that talks a bit too much.
One thing that I realized that it's actually quite sad is that every year since like I picked up a camera, I've done like one tour a year. Like I always do one tour a year and that's it. But this is the first year that I'm not going to be able to do that because I have so much shit booked. I actually can't physically go away for like 2 weeks at a time with a band. So like the stuff that I've got on, I'm going over to California in like 3 weeks to go work for Trustkill Records. I'm photographing Hellfest West, so that's like in California, the first one that's there. Hellfest is back after 20 years absence, and it's really really cool that I get to like photograph like fucking Day of Suffering and Turmoil and Kickback and stuff like that. So like it's really fucking cool to be part of that. And then following on from that, I'm that actually 2 weeks on from that in March, I go to Ypres Winterfest to go work with my favorite friends in Belgium. Incendiary and Shattered Realm are playing that, so I'm going to get to see them, which is ace, and photograph that. In April, I go to Bangkok in Thailand for Concrete Jungle Fest. I got invited
Concrete
over for that,
jungle.
which is ace. Yeah, yeah, fucking Bad Omens Fest. That's the one. I got invited over for that, and when I said yes to coming over for it, I got a message back being like, "The straight edge kids are going to be so happy that you're coming over." And I was like, "Yes, my people." Um,
Jesus.
so I'm going over for that. That's like, fuck, who's all playing that? Recognize, Whispers, Hellraiser are playing. Forewarned from Australia are coming over, which is really fucking cool. So yeah, I'm super excited for that. Next month on from that, 4 weeks on, and I'm going to Berlin in Germany for the second edition of Cakewalk Fest. I got invited over to photograph and film that. That's at Death Threat are coming over for like an exclusive Europe show. And then a month on from that is Outbreak Fest. I'm hoping that I can just jump on to like one of the dates with one of the bands again for that, like I do every year.
Oh
And
wait, we're doing
then
Outbreak
what
together.
maybe depends. We'll see what
Yeah,
happens.
come on.
And then a week after Outbreak is Hellfira in New Jersey. I got invited back after how good last year went. So yeah, the lineup for that is yet to be announced. I'm super excited for it, but it should be any moment now that it gets announced because Josh at Trustkill was telling me that after FYA has been done for a week or two, then the lineup's going to go up, and it's been 1 week since FYA. And then following on from that, that brings me up to July, because it's like that guy in Mortal Reminder that gave me shit for saying that I was booked all the way up until June. I'm actually booked all the way up until July now. So,
Jesus.
and then
That's my friends.
I think we're I think me and the two guys that I put shows on with, Ross and Harry, that play in Lights Out, and we put on shows under the name Shattered City in Glasgow. We're putting on, so far, we've got 4 shows booked. One's in April, one's in July, one's in August, and then I can't remember where the other one is. But yeah, we're putting on shows.
Am
We're
I
taking
gonna
photos
like
of
any of
shit.
them?
Uh, Probably not, but you're gonna go because you need to support your local scene because you say you live in Glasgow, right?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, support your local scene.
Yeah, but I don't like
Make
the
it so more
music.
bands want to come.
How can I
Yeah,
support something I don't like the sound of? Why would
I
I?
don't know. You can just let people enjoy things and shut the fuck up.
Well, no, let me enjoy things, and I'm not gonna go and subject myself to an unenjoyable experience. What is this?
Well, like I already agreed to do this, and it's a pretty unenjoyable experience. So
Yeah,
like,
but you're having fun. So I don't know why you're lying.
yeah, yeah, you're gonna clip me and shit like that. I'm
Yeah, I'm
super
gonna
excited about
just
that.
edit it down to make you say shit.
Yeah,
Like you love Ronnie Radke or some. Yeah, I'm
something.
gonna get
Yeah,
you
but
another
yeah,
quote retweet from Ronnie Radke. I'm
oh,
joking.
make it
Anyways,
happen. We've
anyhow,
not spoken ages, but yeah, like I'm doing loads of shit this year. This is probably the busiest I've been, and
that
it's
is a
real
very
nice.
busy year.
Also doing this at the same time as working a full time 8 till 5, 5 days a week job. It's it's tiring as fuck, but when you love something, you'll do anything for it.
Mm, there you go. So that's your indicator that you're not just a loudmouth on the internet, which I'm sure there's probably bare people that think you are, and that you don't do anything for the scene that you claim to ride so hard for, or
Yeah, that's true.
you're just a shit photographer, and
Oh yeah,
you don't get booked in for anything.
yeah, I'm definitely a shit photographer if I'm booked out till July, but
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Right, we're not gonna get personal or controversial anymore. We're past that. I think I've let you be controversial enough. I just want to know. We just want to know good stuff now. So,
Okay, good stuff.
oh wait, no, that one would make you be maybe controversial. Fuck it, I'm gonna ask you anyway. What's it doesn't matter whether I'm gonna know them or not. You don't need to explain them to me. Explain them to the people that know them. Give me a band that you used to ride so hard for, but they fell off.
See, after the first EP and the first album, they went massively downhill, and I thought it was absolutely dog shit. But it was a band that actually I found on MySpace because they friended me on MySpace, and that's
Here
actually
we
how
go.
I got listening to that
MySpace.
band. And I still kind of listen to them to this day because the EP and the album are both fantastic. But I used to ride really, really hard for Escape the Fate.
Dying is Your Latest Fashion is a fucking brilliant album.
It's a fantastic album,
I
and
will
like
die on that
it's
hill.
it's really, really well written. It flows brilliantly, and it has like what is like quintessential like Warp Tour Las Vegas post hardcore, and I think that those are things that work really, really well together. And the whole like glam rock aesthetic and everything that they had going on, like at the time when
Hmm.
Scene was really popular, like I thought they were really, really onto something, and I rode for them really, really hard. And I think that when Ronnie turned out to be an absolute waste of space, I think that's when I actually thought, you know what, looking up to musicians is a bad idea.
Yeah, especially ones like that.
Yeah.
Especially ones like that.
Um, I'm trying to think if there's any other bands that like I used to ride for pretty hard, but then they actually turned out to be dog
I
shit.
wasn't expecting you to say Escape the Fate, to be honest. Like
No, like
I think it's a very across the board people will appreciate. Like we all say fuck Ronnie Radke. It's fuck Ronnie Radke,
yeah,
but he absolutely cooked and served with that album.
he did. No one sounded like him. No one was doing that kind of like Warp Tour mall post hardcore in that way. Like they were cooking socials the way that people cook them now, where like they were just rinsing MySpace for everything that it had, and like they were doing like Ernie Ball guitar tournaments and shit like that. They were opening the Taste of Chaos tour in America. Like they were doing every single thing right, and it worked, and then just all kind of fell apart. See, another band that I actually used to really, really ride for as well, because the EP was fantastic and the first album was brilliant, and that was Emerosa, because Relativity is a fantastic album.
Yeah, but I bloody love Emerosa.
Um,
You
I'm trying to
hey,
think if there's
hold
anybody
on.
else.
You told me that you didn't even that was the worst one. Relativity.
No, Relativity is probably the only one that I actually recognize.
That's my favorite. That's literally the first one that I listened to. That was because obviously, bear in mind, I'm a
Yeah,
spring chicken. I'm way younger than you.
yeah,
That
you're
was
like a year younger.
fuck off a year younger. Yeah, if you were 31, mate, which you're absolutely not.
Who else fell off? I feel like Metallica fell off as well. Like
Yeah, but you know
they
mine's
had an absolutely
Metallica.
fantastic run. I feel that Finch kind of fell off a little bit as well, but then again, that's just going back to like 2005 when Say Hello to Sunshine came out, and it wasn't as good as what it is to Burn. Um,
You can talk about
there's so
bands that
many.
I'm not gonna know, because you might ruffle some
Yeah,
feathers for the people that do know it.
I think
Yeah.
Sailson fell off after.
The Beatle
This is
album.
personally what I think. The Beatle album is fantastic
The Beatle
because
album
like
is great.
when Cove took over from Anthony Green, it was obviously like a very, very big change for people. But the self-titled is a brilliant album, and it was my introduction into like that whole Taste of Chaos universe where it was like Saleson, Census Fail, Thursday, Sunny Day Real Estate, and that, and the likes of translating the name and stuff that had Anthony Green singing on them. I feel that the albums that followed, they had two albums that followed the self-title. They had In Search of Solid Ground that still had Cove singing for them. It was a massive like dip in quality, and then after that, Anthony Green came back for the album that came out in 2019 that was Along the Shadow, and that was meant to be Sales Center back to like their prime where they've got Anthony Green. They're going to do translating the name sort of shit again, and it just didn't hit. It just wasn't good. It was like the EPs were brilliant, the self title was brilliant, and then they could never top it. They could just never beat it.
Mm.
From first to last were the exact same as well. After like Sonny Moore left, it just kind of stopped being as interesting. That's Skrillex for
Yeah, that's.
spring chickens like you.
No, I was gonna say that you should probably not government name him,
Mm.
because people will be like, "Who the fuck is that?"
Um, okay, here's a controversial one for like your friends and stuff like that. I think Counterparts massively fell off after the Tragedy album, but they've kind of clawed it back a little bit with that new EP that came out. But then
Okay,
again,
what they
that's
got that
because the new
EP?
EP sounds like End. It sounds like
Mm.
End. That's what makes it good.
Mm,
But yeah, like
I've
there's so many
listened.
different bands that are great. Oh, there's another one. Varials. Varials fell off as soon as Trav
Ah,
left.
okay, so I know a lot of people do agree with that, because yes, the after Trav left, you had that weird album that came out. Fuck, who was it with? Who was the vocalist again? Shit, I was talking about him the other day.
It wasn't your man. It wasn't your man from Cell because
No,
he's in it
it's
now.
not Skylar. It's you had Travis, and then you had
Oh,
it's right there.
the guy that told people not to push pit because like moshing's for pussies or some shit. Yeah,
Yeah, he turned out to be a
I
piece of
remember that.
shit anyway. He turned
Yeah,
out
he's
to
a
be a
dork.
yeah. No, even
Who
I can
else?
agree that that album was fucking horrible after Travis left, or maybe the two. I think they did two. I can't remember, but nah,
I'm
you
really
you
trying
need
to.
to
I'm trying.
trust me. Even though it's not Travis and it's Skylar, nah, this they've cooked with this album. It's not gonna sound like it did with
Yeah,
Travis, of course it's not, but it's not the shit that it was before Skylar joined. And way better.
yeah, that's bait. I'm not believing that.
I
Like
swear that.
Trav videos was where it was at.
Yeah.
Ghost Inside fell off. They absolutely fell off.
See, I was never a fan.
See, what's the interesting thing about Ghost Inside, right, is that they are a prime example of like HXC hardcore.
I always forget what the fuck this X is.
HXC is like hardcore, is what people call hardcore that are not actually into hardcore call it.
Me.
Yeah, you would
Yeah.
call hardcore HXC the same way that there's people that call metalcore Twitter MXC Twitter.
I just thought that was just like an abbreviation short way of saying things.
No, 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 no. Like it's a very real way of actually recognizing that like things are different, and like it's a really really good way of actually kind of differentiating between the two. Like you've got HXC as like the Ghost Inside and Lionheart, but then HC is like Backtrack and Rotting Out and Terror and Death Threat and stuff.
Don't know any of them. Yeah, I
Of course
genuinely
you
just
don't. Of
I genuinely just thought it was
course you don't.
just a way of shortening the words hardcore and metalcore, because if you were to just put like MC, you're gonna either think motorcycle club or you're gonna think an MC on the mic. So I genuinely just thought
Hmm.
that when people were using like HXC and MXC, it was just a way of saying metalcore or hardcore. Didn't know that.
It's like people saying the names of straight edge bands, but pronouncing the X's at the start and the end.
Are you not supposed to?
No. Okay.
Are you genuinely not?
No,
I
why would you pronounce them?
Well, because they've put it in their name, haven't they?
What are you calling them X Weapon X? Are you
Yeah,
saying X consume to satisfy
yeah.
X?
If I was to see
Are you
it,
saying
if
X magnitude X?
yeah,
X one step closer X?
if I actually cared about these bands, yeah, I would be saying it like that.
Jesus. Jesus
Well,
Christ.
they put it
Okay.
in their title. I didn't. Obviously, I'm not straight edge, am I?
Yeah, that's so you know it's a straight edge band.
Well, can't they just like tell us? They ain't got to put it in their name. Or is that for like people that
Jesus
want to
Christ.
discover straight edge bands? They can just type in X and it's going to give them all on Apple Music.
That's a way of doing it, yeah.
Fucking hell. Ah. I don't want to get into straight edge discourse because that'll bore me. Like, good on you.
Yeah,
Do
it's
do 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 what you want. That's cool. Great. Not for me. Don't want to hear about it. Just not.
right. What else do you want to know?
Give me a false metalcore octane band that you actually like. Because I know there's one, so don't lie to me.
Um, I actually really liked. I'm not as interested in them anymore,
No,
but
no,
back when
no,
they dropped,
no, no. I need you like them now.
see that kind of ruins it because I don't think there's any.
Yeah, there is. I know there's one
Nah,
that still exists now.
it's still like. Why don't you just tell me? I don't know.
It's Polaris. I know you like
Oh,
Polaris.
they're not false metalcore though.
Are they not? See, I wouldn't have put them in as real metalcore because they don't sound
They're
like.
absolutely not. They're not real metalcore, but I wouldn't even call them false metalcore.
Well, no, because they don't have. They're not like pushed all over social media in that
Yeah,
sense. And
I do. I do like Polaris, and
good.
I had like a solid year where like I was really locked into the album with like the fire on the front of it
Mm-hmm.
that had like landmine and stuff on it. I really
It's a good
liked that.
album.
I genuinely did. It was one of the like it was one of the few bands of of that kind of like style that like I was interested in because I actually really liked the Cleans and I don't feel like they were doing anything like majorly different from like other like bands that you could consider false metalcore, but like I don't know, I felt like they were kind of doing enough to like keep me interested. They weren't doing like the Silent Planet thing where like they do like the whole hotel books thing where like they do all the spoken word bits and it's like we love the climate, we love being leftists and that. But and then there also wasn't like the whole architects thing where they're trying to like work in as much orchestral shit as possible. Like there was no gimmick.
Mm-hmm.
There was no like message that was like forcibly pushed your way or anything like that. Polaris are just a group of people that were writing that style of metalcore, and you could tell that they enjoyed doing it. Like it just worked. It was just good.
Huh?
I
I'm glad you could
uh,
appreciate Polaris because they're fucking sick.
like the album that came after Fatalism, I think is quite good as well. I feel like it's a much like darker album than like the Fire one, but like I still think the Fire one is probably the best one. It's probably because that's the first one that I actually gave a chance and enjoyed.
It's a good album.
It, if like you want to if you want to get into like, more albums of that style that I actually liked, I'm a big fan of Thornhill's The Dark Pool. I think that's
Yes,
one of the best albums I've.
yeah,
It's
10/10
one of the
album.
best albums I've ever listened to. I'm majorly into like fucking 8,000 metalcore and shit like that, and I love hardcore, but like Dartpool's an album that like really speaks to me because I just think it's so well done. It's not overproduced. Songs actually mean shit. Lily and the Moon is one of the best songs ever written.
Mm-hmm.
And another album that I actually really enjoyed,
Cool. I'm gonna let you be a hater again. Most disappointing release of 2025.
that Orthodox album.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna say that.
Nah, like I don't even need to think about it. It was a massive disappointment. because everything that made that band great on their come up was all the weird ambience and what you would call wee woos and shit. They were doing something that was genuinely really interesting and unnerving, similar to like what Mortal Reminder do really, really well with like Behind a Locked Door,
Mm-hmm.
like or Beyond Locked Door or something like whatever that fucking track is, like the one of the three good songs on that new album.
Yeah.
Um, Orthodox were doing that same sort of thing and they were fantastic at it. And I loved the way that they were able to kind of like weaponize that in their music. And ever since that new album came out, I feel like they've just over engineered their sound and they've gotten rid of most of what it is that made them good. That ambience, that uneasiness, like that fucking the shit that actually like makes your ears like pick up. You're like, holy shit, is that what that is? Or it makes you like scroll back in the music to be like, did I just hear what I think I did? Similar to like what Vane's latest album, This World Is Going to Ruin You. Like they've done the whole horror element like beautifully, and they've they've managed to like properly own it and weaponize it. And I feel like Orthodox have just removed any element of that from their new music, and that's what makes that album suck.
Mm.
And that's why so many people like it because it doesn't have that defining element anymore. It just sounds like everything else now,
I can't lie.
and
There's
that's what makes it accessible.
on on first listen, I was like, yeah, no, this is good. But then coming away from it, I had a like a massive purge of my entire Apple Music library because there was just shit on there that I'd never play anymore. So I'd
Yeah.
sat through like thousands and thousands of songs. I was like, what do I not listen to anymore? I'd listen to whole albums, and instead of just having the whole album downloaded, because obviously I'm a downloader, I'll download shit. I'd go through and I'd pick which songs were good. Out of that album, I'd left with two. But on first listen, I really did like that album. What are you looking forward to releasing this year? Or what are you
Um.
okay, so here we go, two-parter. What is already been announced and you're looking forward to it dropping? And who do you hope drops this year?
What I'm looking forward to that has been announced. I'm looking forward to Converge's new album, Love's Not Enough, because the two singles they put out so far, I think personally, are great, really, really good, and it's a little bit of a throwback to some of their earlier stuff. Um, I'm not super hyped about the Poison the Well album that's been announced because the track Thoroughbreds that they've dropped is yeah, it's not really my thing, but like I'm gonna stay on top of it and just actually check it out and see what it's like. Um, I can't think of anything else that's actually been announced. A lot of the stuff that like I'm actually like interested in and stuff, I usually just get the email being like, "Yo, this dropped today," and I'm like, "Cool, love that."
Mood ring, mood
But
ring, mood ring, mood ring.
yeah, yeah. I've actually not listened to the new Mood Ring yet, but
You haven't listened to
I'll get
Masochist
around to it.
Machine?
No, I've not listened to it yet. I know what Hunter's vision is, so like I respect it, and I have good faith that it's a solid track. The last one he put out actually that sounded like the first Resident Evil movie, that was very good.
Cannibal. Fucking
Yeah, was
incredible.
it that one? I don't remember. Or it was
Yeah.
like Body or something like that. I can't
Eh?
remember.
No. So
Some
the two
something Body.
singles
I can't remember.
the two singles that are out, or the three, it went Half Life, Cannibal, and now Masochist Machine.
Yeah, Half Life. That's the one that I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Half Life's
yeah. So yeah,
incredible.
say that I'm looking forward to that as well. And things that haven't been announced that I would like to see, like new music from. I would love to see a new Contention album. I think that would be great. Um, something, anything from World of Pleasure would be great because I think it's been like 3 or 4 years now since we had something from World of Pleasure. Who else have we got? I would love to see another. I would love to see like a 5 track or something from Fear of Sin, and also from Once and For All. And I would love for this band that is local to me that I absolutely adore, and I go out of my way to photograph them every single time I see them. Mind Invasion. They're like a melodeath like thrash band. They're so fucking good. They're all like 17 years old and they're more talented than anyone in the scene. They're
Jesus
just
Christ.
brilliant, and everyone like kicks off for them. But if Mind Invasion could actually record and release something, I'd be over the moon about that.
But there you go. Kids. On you get. Record it on GarageBand on a MacBook.
Ooh,
It'll be sorted.
yeah, yeah, do that. I can't think
It'll
of
be
who
great.
else I would want to see music from. More straight edge music, more vegan straight edge music. Yeah, the good shit.
Okay, here's not a question that I had on there, but it's a question that I've wanted to like pick brains about, and in your Discord as well. But I can't be dealing with like so many people giving their opinions and stuff. So I'm just gonna go straight to the source. You see, like, so your real metalcore, and then for argument's sake, we'll say a band like Bad Omens. We'll just put Bad Omens against that. The reason, do you guys who like hardcore and real metalcore just not like to have a sing along? And don't say that you can go to other genres for that, because that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, do you not just like a little pop rocky song where you can have a sing along to a catchy chorus and not have to think about the logistics of it?
I think this is where like your lack of like knowledge on like hardcore and real metalcore and shit comes from,
There's no
because like
singing.
there's so much shit that people sing along to. Like for example, Have Heart played Outbreak like 2 years ago or something like that, and everyone was singing every fucking single word to like Same Sun and I Rise, and there's dog piles and everything, and everyone wants the mic grab and stuff.
Yeah, but
Like singing in these genres.
I'm on about actual melodic singing. What hardcore
Oh,
vocalists?
you're
Yes, I'm not on about shouting the word. That's not singing. I need to be pedantic here, and I need you to follow the
right.
pedantry. It's not about
So you're
just
not
shouting
talking
the
about
words back. No,
you're not talking about hardcore bands and metalcore bands like having dog piles and like
no,
sing-alongs and mic grabs and that.
because it's not
You're
singing.
purely talking about you're talk it absolutely is.
It's
But
not.
you're purely talking about people that have trained to become like singers, singing like radio rock choruses.
Yeah, do you find no fun in singing along? And like I said, don't
I
say
do,
you
but
can go
not to
to
that
other.
sort of shit.
Okay, so you would go
Not to
to
that sort
like
of shit,
other
no.
genres for a sing song.
I would look to other genre for like that, or I would continue listening to what I already do listen to, and I would hear all the stuff that people sing back, or like go for like mic grabs and that,
They shout
or I
back.
would listen to, or I would listen to the likes of Age of Apocalypse, who have a singer that can actually sing in a hardcore band. I
Okay,
would listen to
so
stuff like
I would
that.
assume. Okay, so the better way to put it is clean vocals. There we go. Like you
Yeah, you're
can't.
talking about
I'm not
clean
talking.
vocals
Yeah,
now.
I'm not talking about harshes because you just shout those back. That's all that is. Is shouting or screaming,
Well, like
depending on which kind of
you've
band
got
you're in.
bands You've got bands that have cleans like Age of Apocalypse, One Step Closer,
Oh, can you give
Anxious, and
me a
stuff like
band
that.
that I know?
You just told me that
Crowquill.
I could talk about bands that you might not know.
No, that was in one of the other questions. I didn't give a fuck
Yeah,
then.
yeah,
Now I care.
Crowquill's a good example
Yeah,
because like
Crowquill.
everyone wants the mic grab on Family Fawcett.
Yeah,
Everybody wants to sing that
great
back.
fucking little.
Yeah,
Oh, brilliant.
exactly. Stuff like that works. Yeah,
Yeah, so
like
that's
you
what I'm
can
saying.
absolutely do
You
it in
enjoy
this. So the answer to your question is yes,
you enjoy a little sing
I do
song
like it.
sometimes.
Everyone does. Just because
Yeah.
it's not the radio rock kind that you like doesn't mean that people in hardcore and listeners of real metalcore, fucking real metalcore has so much like clean singing in it. Have you ever listened to Bleeding Through?
No, because you bigged them up so much.
Uh
It's another Seven Angels, Seven Plagues. I'm not listening out of spite.
absolutely kills me that you will not listen to these bands.
Yeah,
Like you've
out of
got bands,
spite.
you've got like Senses Fail. I love
I
singing
know
along
that
to
band.
that. That's great.
I
Yeah,
know
of
that
course you
band.
know who that band
Yeah.
is.
Duh.
Jesus Christ, you're so bad at
We
this.
all used to sing along to a little bit of Slipknot when we were like 3 years old. You were like 30 at that point, but
Cool. So what does that make you? 29. Yeah,
yeah.
great.
Yeah,
But
so like singing along to that. It's just fun to have a sing song, isn't it?
yeah.
That
But
is
then
just
you've
one of
even
my
got
like
like
big pet peeves though.
you've even got like the what about like metal bands and stuff that people grew up with like before like they actually got into like the niches they liked. Bands like fucking Trivium and All That Remains and stuff like that that do have clean vocals.
Mm.
Would you class that as a completely different thing?
No, they're sing songs. They're
Yeah,
cleans.
they're sing songs, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. If you have to actually
Or
get into different registers to hit the notes, maybe not well, but in order to do it, if it's melodic, it's a sing song. They're cleans.
what's a hardcore band that you like?
Was a hardcore band that I like.
Yeah.
Bodyweb. Bodyweb are hardcore, no? It's the closest I can
Body
get.
Weber, are you Body Weber a UKHC band?
Yes, they're hardcore.
I would put them down as like a UKHC band where it's like new metal made by
UKHC,
hardcore kids.
UK hardcore.
It's a community. There's bands in UKHC that are part of the UKHC scene but are not hardcore bands.
Oh, that's the closest I can get. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
No, 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 no. No, there's one. Fuck. Uh, it's 3 letters. Shit. It's 3 letters. They're British, English, and TRC? Is it
Just end
TRC?
the podcast here. Just
It's not.
shoot me in the head.
It's, it's,
No, it is TRC. Yeah,
is it?
it is.
That's one
Mm-hmm.
that I came across, and I was like, no, do you know what? Actually, this isn't terrible, and it's because the vocals weren't shit.
Yeah, because you like that. There's as the Guardian put it in their article when they spoke about hardcore being revived in the UK for like the millionth time. They said that TRC is a band that blends hardcore and grime. That's probably why you like it.
Oh, I wouldn't have said that. Oh, definitely wouldn't have
Nah.
said that. If it's
Yeah, but you know what newspapers are like.
yeah,
Apparently, hardcore is going through another revival right now. Apparently, when it never went away, but
yeah,
it'd be like that.
unfortunately. Um, I don't know. Is there another one? Bodyweb's the closest that I think I'm gonna get. TRC, I really only liked one song. Like, cool. There's not been another hardcore band where I've listened to one song and thought, yeah, now this is good. Let me go and like listen to more and see if they track throughout the whole. Nah, it's just not for me. The
Mm.
vocals are just. I get it because you explained it to me. That was one of our first conversations. Was you giving me a 21-minute voice note on hardcore? Because
Mm-hmm.
that's the one genre that I could never differentiate, or I could never identify because I didn't know what it sounded like because I'd never listened to it. And
Yeah, because you never got it. Yeah, it's
yeah,
just it was never on your radar.
nah. And I never, and you then just went into. That's it. One of our first conversations, literally, was you 21-minute voice note in me, and you said
It
that
helped.
yeah, because now I know what hardcore sounds like. Unfortunately, not enjoyable. Is that they're focused more on lyricism than vocal technique.
Yeah, to a degree. Yeah,
Yeah, they don't care about being the best vocalist or being an
yeah,
impressive
because
vocalist. They don't want to impress anyone with their vocals.
yeah,
And
because it's more about the lyricism and how you're delivering the message. Because
yeah,
the vast majority, well, it's not the vast majority. It's more a case of that if you're in a hardcore band, your lyrics should mean something. You should have a message. You should give a shit.
so you had fun.
Yeah, it was great. I had a lot of fun.
Right,
Time of my life.
I'm not even going to give you the opportunity to backtrack on that. Right, I'm going to do some audio editing and make that seem more sincere.
Okay, cool.
Right, sec.